In mechanical terms, they can put up a new candidate. We all know it isn't easy. Normally, the vice president would be the front runner, but there's not a lot of support at all for Kamala Harris. Lukewarm at best. I can absolutely understand why. This is the party of peak diversity, though. So how do they pass over a woman of colour? She's not black. She doesn't have Afro-American heritage. A lot of people get that wrong. But how do they pass over a woman of colour? And if it's not Harris, who is it?
Well, I think that the key question here again is a matter of what I would call the moral courage of the leadership of the Democratic Party. They need to be willing to say Kamala Harris was chosen on the basis of identity politics, and we didn't expect that she'd become president. And we need somebody now who will be presidential from the get-go. And so we need an open convention, and this is a really rare thing. But if the top brass can step up to the plate and be honest with the American public, I think that alone would impress a lot of voters. Because too many people, too many voters, I think are leaning towards Trump because they distrust the Democratic establishment. And that establishment is facing, well, you could say a debacle of its own making. They haven't shown enough forward vision. They haven't brought forward the people who would constitute a really gripping or compelling leadership ticket. So at the moment, they're at a bit of a loss. There's been some talk for... Go on.
No, you please go on.
Yeah. I was just going to say, there's been talk, for example, of wanting to get Hillary Clinton to make another stand. It'd be interesting to see how that went. Or of getting not so much another rerun, but getting Madam Obama to step up. And she's indicated, as I understand it, she has no interest in running. One wonders whether if the Democratic leadership was to say, well, listen, for the sake of the party, we have to have somebody, and it really has to be a woman, and preferably a woman of colour, and you're the perfect candidate. Please, please, please. But again, that's not, it seems to me at the moment, what's happening. There's been talk of Gavin Newsom stepping up, but he doesn't have much time, and he's a relatively colourless political figure. So they've got a real dilemma on their hands.
Absolutely, and I look, having worked in a political office at the White House administration, we know that Biden's clearly not running the country, and that begs the question: who is running America? Because it is not the president, and that in itself is debasing democracy. Hey, I just want to get your thoughts on France. Emmanuel Macron called that snap election. It looks like it's backfired. I mean, this is just the first round, but the far-right national rallies won 34% of the popular vote. This is a political earthquake, not just for the left in France, but I think broadly across Europe, isn't it?
It is. And France, of course, ever since 1789 has been a country of revolution and political change. Quite turbulent and for a long time, right through the 19th century, rather unstable. But it is looked to as one of the, as you might put it, founding members of the democratic West. And what we're seeing at the moment is the collapse, not so much of the left per se, but of Macron's attempt to hold things together with a centrist coalition. And so Marine Le Pen is doing a brilliant job from a conservative point of view. She's reshaped the Rassemblement National from the days of her father, who was admittedly a fascist. And she is responding, as Donald Trump and other leaders are, to clear public concerns about illegal immigration, or indeed immigration and the scale of immigration per se, and concerns about global trade. So it's not as if this, what people like to call populism, is without foundation. What's going to be interesting is if the results for the National Assembly turn out as they appear likely to do, either you will have the National Rally governing in its own right, which Marine Le Pen is calling for, or you'll have somebody having to form a coalition to govern. But above all, it seems to me you'll have an enlivened politics between right and left rather than a complete collapse of the left per se. And that's actually to the good, because the issues that are on the table in the United States, in France and elsewhere are perfectly real issues. They're not an idle conjuration. And we should watch this space with great interest, because in our own way, we have comparable issues here.
I tell you, I didn't move much from my TV over the weekend. I was watching Sky, of course, but all the foreign national news networks across this issue and, of course, the Biden issue. Thank you for your insights, Paul.